Hey guys, here's a property that's a part of our $1 Million Challenge, and this one is a sheriff sale property. So it came from an auction, and we had the typical problems. We had to get the homeowner moved out, and we had to rehab the property, and then we made a great profit. So let's go inside. I'm going to walk you exactly what we did to the property in terms of bumping up the value, in terms of making a profit, and some of the challenges we ran into. So let's go. So this was a fun property because this is a property we bought at auction. And so we show up here, it was Harry and I, and we knock on the door a bunch of times. We had no idea if the homeowner was here, if it was a tenant. Of course, they'd been kind of living here without paying for the last 2 or 3 years, and we had won the property at the auction. So we kind of park the car up front, go around, and Harry's trying to get in the house, climbs the fence, and through one of the lower windows, he's trying to raise the window and come in. And here comes the cops with the guns and the whole 9 yards, right? And this is the middle of the day. And the owner's like, oh my God, this guy's trying to break in. And generally, you wouldn't park a Bentley in the driveway and try to break in a house middle of the day. But it was kind of one of those funny incidents. We ended up building rapport with the previous owner. And once we got the confirmation, he ended up moving out. He tried to squeeze us for $500-600, but we ended up kind of, just getting him moved out because, of course, we had the order of possession from the court. That's going to happen with some of these properties, guys. It's somebody's home that clearly they lost for an unfortunate set of circumstances, but now we have paid for the property. We have a court order. So that's something you're going to deal with a auction property, and it's always better. We always try to work with the homeowner either to get them moved somewhere or maybe cash for keys or some of those types of situations. So when we bought this particular property, the condition of the property was actually not bad. But let me show you one of the key things that we did to the property. Number one, we obviously took out kind of a wall. So there was a small entrance into the kitchen. This island, of course, was not there. And there was a kitchen, which was a rather small with a breakfast nook sort of an area. And all we did is we kind of opened up this wall. Think about this. The cost of opening this up is maybe $500, but yet the perceived value now when you enter the property, it makes it a nice open concept kitchen. Right? With these houses, you're limited by square footage, but you want to do what we call KBB, which is kitchen, bedrooms, and baths. If you have to do the roof, there's really no value in terms of dollars that is attached to it. People want a working roof. People want a working AC. People want the plumbing to work. But where do you get the maximum bang for the buck? So there were a few things that we did. So this property, as it exists, and this is important, it had carpet in it, which is very common for the era of when these properties were built. So we're taking the carpet out, and now the hardwood floors are going to be polished, and they're going to be sanded, polished, and they're going to be brand new hardwood floors. So there's no reason to spend a lot of money. Maybe you spend $1.50 a square foot, and you just buff out the floors, and they will look absolutely beautiful. Already upstairs, this is a 3-bedroom and 1-bath property. But this is one of those split level houses, which is very, very common in the south suburbs of Chicago. This, of course, happens to be in South Holland. So we have a bathroom over there, pretty standard bathroom. All we did was we kind of made it obviously nice and modern because that is perceived value. So what can we do? What are the key things we can do in a property like this one to increase the back end value? So the two things that we can do is KBB, which is kitchen, bedroom, bath. We've already addressed the kitchen by opening it up here and by putting an island. So that's one thing. The second thing we can do is bedroom and bath. So where are you going to add that? So in this particular case, it's got, maybe some people call it a daylight basement, some people call it a lower level, right? I prefer a lower level because generally in a basement, you have the whole area of the basement is below grade. Here, if you notice, you have nice windows, so you have a lot of sunlight coming in. And a lot of times, just to finish this little area, very inexpensive. In a lot of the properties, you will notice that we'll even leave this open, kind of exposed ceilings, and just spray a charcoal black. And people like that cool little look. In this case, we finished this because guess what this does? Now, this has egress, which is in case of fire, you can actually exit the property. So now this can be called a fourth bedroom. Now you're competing with other 4-bedroom houses. And here's the key change, which we did, which is really, really something important. You have a unfinished area here, which is for the laundry. And then we added an extra bath. So even though this bath necessarily, is it the biggest bath? Actually, it's not. I'm not sure what this small little, tiny little sink here will do, a vanity sink here. But guess what it does? It makes it a full 4-bedroom, 2-bath property. And guess what it does? It bumps up the back end value. Instead of selling this property as a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, it's 3-bedroom, 1-bath, I could sell this for about maybe $230. But now, guess what we can sell it for? Now, as a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, this will sell nearly close to almost $300,000, especially in this location. So what did you do? You spent an extra $2,000 or $3,000 in getting a bath done, opening up the kitchen, and just a few additional things. And you bump up the back end value by almost $50,000 to $60,000. We're going to go back to the office and we're going to show you the exact numbers. What did we buy it at the auction? What were some of the extra expenses that we ended up having because we had to carry the property for a little bit longer? And then what is the net profit on the back end? So let's go back to the office. Okay, so we're back in the office in regards to the property here in South Holland. And remember, this was an auction property. So I have a little bit of extra expense on this property because our property taxes are prorated. So they run a little bit behind. So I have a little bit of extra expense that I have to account for on this particular property. So I bought it at the sheriff's sale for $133,000. The extra expense accounted to about $8,000 in taxes that were unpaid. The rehab amount on this property was $48,000. Remember, we redid the kitchen, we opened it up, we put in an extra bath downstairs, so that was about $48,000. Finance charges were about $13,000, and the sales cost is about $14,000 on top of that. So that's a total of $216,000. We have this property right now listed for $310,000. So conservatively, if I'm in the deal for about $216 and I have it listed for about $310, we believe we can sell the property somewhere around $305. That's a profit of somewhere around $85,000. And I'm saying somewhere around that number because the property has not sold and closed yet. So we're just going to consider about $70,000 on this property. I'm being really, really conservative just so that I don't give you an excessive number on this property. So I hope you learned a lot. There was a lot that we covered on this particular property. We talked about buying at sheriff sales. We talked about buying online auctions. Hopefully you will go take an action, even if you don't go look at the sheriff sale properties, because that's a little bit more advanced. But for sure, look at the properties, all the websites we gave you for the online auctions, because that is something, a great source for you to be able to find some great deals for your $1 Million Challenge. This is Andrew. Talk to you in the next video.